So, I'm here with Mazerik. These are a brand new metal band in Salt Lake City, and I wanted to give a chance for you guys to introduce yourself to the world as you're releasing a new single here very shortly. So, first let's just do real quick introduction, starting with Vincent here.
So, I'm Vincent. I kind of started this project like 5 or 6 years ago, and I've been working on it up until the last couple of years. I brought these guys in, and they've been working on it with me, and have been very fortunate to have them.
Cool. And then we got Caleb here.
I'm Caleb. I play the guitars.
And Tiff.
I'm Tiffany. I play bass.
And another Caleb.
Yep, we're C-squared over here. I'm the drummer.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what is Mazerik exactly, and what's your future plan with it? What do you want to do with this project?
So it kind of started out as a studio project just because I didn't really have, a whole lot of people to work with at the time. But I love heavy metal. I love horror, sound effects. I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill and Resident Evil, and just games that have those really creepy sound effects. So I try to bring a lot of that stuff into the music. With the new single that we're releasing, I tried to really put a lot of emphasis on the sound effects because I wanted it to be kind of creepy and weird. But yeah, I have a ton of influences all over the place, though, and I think these guys share a lot of similar interests, so we are we have a lot of chemistry when we're writing. So,
Also a big fan of Silent Hill and Resident Evil.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it a bit, for sure. So you said you've been doing this for 5 or 6 years yourself, though. How did it get started? What was the initial inspiration?
So initially, actually, my old vocalist from a band that I had started back in high school, we wanted to do like a down-tempo deathcore thing. So when I wrote the EP, I wrote all the instrumentals out, and he was supposed to do the vocals, but then he decided to go to college and jumped ship. Kind of just leaving me to do the vocals, so he at least taught me his vocal technique so I could actually pick up where he left off. But so I ended up doing the whole EP by myself, so it wasn't like my greatest piece of work or anything, but I just figured something I wanted to do, and I wanted to make something really heavy, so I just did it. And then that kind of led into what we're doing now, which is a lot more technical than what the EP was, but we were trying to create something that sounded kind of like Black Tongue or Traitors or Body Snatcher, a lot of those down-tempo deathcore bands at the time, but we've evolved since then.
Cool. And so what got these guys into the group, and you have future plans to play live?
So we do plan on playing live. I actually worked with Caleb Goodman over here back at Musician's Friend probably about like 10 years ago. So that's where I met him, and we used to jam and play drums together all the time. But I kind of just kept in touch with him, and at the time we needed when we were replacing my old drummer, I reached out to Caleb because he was one of the few drummers that I know that could probably keep up with the stuff that we're writing in this project. So I reached out to him, and then actually had a buddy refer Caleb Johnson to me, and I knew that Caleb worked with a couple of my friends in the past, like Hayden and Travis Cross. They were working on another project called Eyes of Andromeda, and I worked with those guys on something in the past called Atlas Shrugged. But that's kind of how I knew about Caleb, and I knew he was really good, but I didn't know he would be interested in working with me because I don't know. Well, I don't really think very highly of my own guitar playing, but yeah, when he took interest in the band, I was super excited because I didn't expect for such a high-class guitar player to want to take interest. And then when I met Tiffany, she was playing bass for another project called Become Ethereal. Sorry, not bass. She was playing guitar for Become Ethereal, and found out she's also a bass player. So so that we needed a bass player for this project because we were originally going to backtrack our programmed bass for it.
Good old Gin.
Yeah, the Gin. But after having a couple practices with live bass, it's pretty clear that I think the stuff sounds a lot better just with live bass instead of backtrack bass.
Totally. Always, for sure.
Vibes.
Yeah. Good
So,
idea.
so overall, I think we have a really good lineup. We're still waiting on one more guitar player to join us, but yes, for right now, I think for our third or fourth practice, it's sounding pretty solid, and hopefully we should be able to play live shows here in the next, I'm hoping the next year or two, depending on how long it takes us to get everything up to speed.
Super technical, difficult stuff.
Yeah, well, and the equipment too, there's just a lot of loose ends, I think, with this stuff where we're going to have to make sure everything's really tight to execute it live properly. So it's not going to be the easiest thing, but I think it'll be super badass once we do get it.
Totally, man. So you have a new song coming out, potentially today as this video is dropping. Tell us about that, Reanimated, and there's a guest on that. What's it about? Ramble.
So Reanimated, that's a loaded question. So actually, when I started writing that song, that's when I started getting really into synthesizer production. So like the whole intro, there's a ton of different synthesizers that I used and tied in together. And I didn't even have the song written when I reached out to our guest feature, which is Colton Head. He's in another band called Forces, and he's from Michigan. I've never met him before, but I've heard his stuff. I've heard what he could do. Totally blew me away what he could do. So I reached out just, out of hope that he would get back to me, because half the time when you reach out to someone to do a feature, they don't even get back to you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, luckily he got back to me, and I had nothing in the song written. But when he got back to me, it kind of lit a fire under my ass, and I started writing stuff for the song, and I was like, shit, I need to write something cool for that. But yeah, I didn't have the whole song for him, so I would just send him pieces of the song as I was writing it, and he thought it was badass. And then when I realized that he was actually going to do this feature, I tried to write the craziest thing I possibly could for his feature.
Hell yeah.
And that's kind of how Reanimated turned out. It was kind of, I wasn't trying to rush the song, but at the same time, I don't want to keep such a good guest feature waiting, just because I wanted to try to be proactive about it. But it's been in the works for over a year, though, so I figured it's probably time to release this thing. Mm-hmm. It's gone through a lot of variations and versions over the last year or two, so I don't know, we're all pretty happy with where it's at though now, and I think it's probably going to be one of our best releases.
Cool. And what are the lyrics about?
So the lyrics, so that's it's a tricky question there, because it was actually, that's kind of a deep question. So the lyrics are about, honestly, like I'm really into RPGs. Mm-hmm. And Mazerik, he was my necromancer character. But when I wrote the lyrics to the song, it was kind of a combination of when one of my old friends that I used to be friends with, he screwed me over, and I just got completely sick of dealing with his shit for years. And so I was extremely angry when I wrote the lyrics to the song, but I kind of tied them in with kind of this necromantic divine type vibe. So they kind of came from nowhere, honestly. Like, it was just, I was so angry at the time, I didn't even know what I was writing.
The depths of hatred.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really hard to explain how the lyrics were written, but it was just, they're very anger driven. That's all I could say.
Cool. And how did you get on Slam Worldwide?
So it's funny, because the first time I reached out to them, we were trying to get another song put up on Slam Worldwide, and I don't think it was heavy enough, because they just never got back to me. So, yeah, when I reached out to them with this one and sent them the new lyric video and everything, they immediately got back and said it sounded sick, and they had spots open, and that's kind of how it went. But, and maybe it helped that we had an awesome guest feature on this one too. But yeah, it's kind of all there was to Slam Worldwide. I guess you just got to be
slamming.
Yeah, you gotta be. You've got to sound slam enough to get on there. Right, but
that was pretty cool.
So you have plans for an EP or an LP?
So we're working on a full-length album. I kind of play a big hand in the production and helping write the instruments and stuff. So the last thing that needs to be done is the vocals, which, I have probably like 7 songs I need to do vocals on, so I'm very behind. But
that's a good spot to be.
Yeah, it's tough for me though, because I get so invested in writing the instruments, because I have like such an emotional attachment to writing like just the instrumentals for things. So like it just takes a lot for me to get into that vocal mindset. Yeah, I think once I get back to the vocal grind, I'll come really fast. So I can track stuff really fast. It's just like my brain's always in like instrument world.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. Switching gears.
yeah.
So now, what about you, Caleb? Are you in any other bands or anything right now?
Not right now. I was for a while. We were doing some, I don't know if you call it progressive or technical death metal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, right now putting all of my time into Mazerik and seeing where it goes.
Yeah, it's a good spot for your eggs.
Yeah.
And what about you, Tiff? Are the
That's
other
it.
bands still going, or this is the only project?
No, I left to become Ethereal. They're like a symphonic metal band, which just wasn't really my style.
Right on.
And I didn't really have much creative freedom to write or anything, and so once I met Vince and he offered to have me play bass for Mazerik, I was like, heck yeah, bye.
Cool.
Yeah.
Much better position.
Yes.
Sweet. And then Caleb, what else do you have going on?
The Eldritch Truth is my other band. We're in the show right now.
I might know a little bit about that.
Hey.
It's just hyper-technical death metal. You know, just my one project where I can get as crazy as I want with no limitations.
And it's super awesome.
Featuring Lord Marco
Pitruzzelli.
Yeah,
Pitruzzelli.
Lord Marco.
Lord Marco,
Everyone knows
yeah,
Lord
the
Marco.
beast.
On drums. And Jeff Hewell on bass from Brain Drill. And 6 Feet Under.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's tasty stuff.
Hell yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for joining me, guys. Do you have anything else you'd like to say or shout out?
Oh, I'm excited for the stuff that we're coming out with, and it's going to be fun to be able to get out there and play it for everybody and
Mm-hmm.
just fucking get down.
Cool.
Super stoked.
Well, thanks for your time. Hopefully lots of people will listen to your new shit when it's coming out.
Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cool.